Hello students, my name is Rahul Gude. You can call me Rahul sir. And today we are going to see one topic from 11th standard related with Kelvin cycle. It is from photosynthesis chapter. What this Kelvin cycle basically is, it is basically given by a scientist called as Kelvin. It is also known as C3 cycle, and this particular Kelvin cycle, it was for the first time, it was studied by Kelvin in an alga called as chlorella. It is a green alga in which this Kelvin, he for the first time had studied and observed how this actually works. Okay, why it is called a C3 cycle, we'll talk after a while. But for now, we'll see the structure or the cycle of this particular cycle called as Kelvin cycle. So far as your NCERT is concerned, there is one diagram which is given. It's a bit confusing, but let's try to analyze that diagram and then we'll talk about this cycle. Okay. So the first component in this Kelvin cycle, it is ribulose 1,5 bisphosphate. Then there is 3 phosphoglycerate. Then there is called as triose phosphate. Okay. So far as your NCERT is concerned, these are the 3 compounds which are given in that particular one. Ribulose, this is what is simply given. Okay. So the first step of conversion of this ribulose bisphosphate into 3 phosphoglycerate, this step is called as carboxylation. Why it is called as carboxylation? For the simple reason that this ribulose bisphosphate, it gets combined with carbon dioxide and water, which are added here. Okay, and that's why this particular step is called as carboxylation, because carboxylic group, it is added here. This is called as the first step. Okay, now so far as this is concerned, this is first step. Now this phosphoglycerate, later on it is converted to triose phosphate. How it is converted to the triose phosphate? Now for that there is a utilization of energy. ATP plus NADPH, it is converted into ADP plus NADP. That means hydrogen is hydrogen, with the help of some energy it is added over here, and that's why this particular stage, it is called as the second stage. It is called as reduction. This is called as the second step. Okay, that is how this glucose 3 phosphoglycerate, it is converted into the triose phosphate. Now this triose phosphate, it is later on used for the production of glucose and starch. But not all triose phosphates, they are used for the glucose. Some of the triose phosphates, they are used for the regeneration of ribulose bisphosphate. That's why in this particular step there is the utilization of energy. With the help of this energy, some triose phosphate molecules, they are converted into ribulose 1,5 bisphosphate molecule. That's why this third and important step, because you are regenerating this RUBP molecules. This is also known as RUBP molecule. If you are Because you are regenerating these RUBP molecules from this triose phosphate, that's why this step is called as regeneration. These are called as steps of Kelvin cycle. Okay, so basically these are called as these are three steps, and this is simply called as the Kelvin cycle. Now, few things that are missing over here. The first thing we'll talk about that before some time I was telling you that this Kelvin cycle, it is also called as C3 cycle. Why it is called as C3 cycle? Very simple reason. That this ribose bisphosphate molecule, basically it is a 5 carbon containing compound, and this 3 phosphoglycerate, it is basically a 3 carbon containing compound. Are you getting my point? Now the question is, this ribulose bisphosphate molecule, 1,5-bisphosphate molecule, or we can call it as RUBP, it is getting combined with one carbon dioxide. How many carbon atoms are there? This 5 carbon atoms plus 1. That is total 6 carbon atoms are there. That means when these 6 carbon atoms they combine, they become a bit unstable. Due to their instability, they get converted into two different molecules of phosphoglycerate compound. Okay. Now, so far as your NCERT is concerned, the things which are not given, I am writing them here. Basically, it is two molecules of 3 phosphoglycerate molecule. So the first member after the carboxylation, that is after the fixation, this is also considered to be fixation of carbon dioxide. When this carbon dioxide is fixed with or maybe combined with this RUBP, in that case these after their combination, the first stable compound is a 3 carbon containing compound. That's why this particular cycle it is called as C3 cycle. Why it is called a C3 cycle? Because the first stable compound after this utilization of CO2 or fixation of CO2 is the 3 carbon containing compound. That's why this is called as C3 cycle. Okay. Now only production of this C3, this 3 phosphoglycerate molecule will not serve our purpose. We need to give some of the structural changes to this. That's why we add some amount of hydrogen in it. That is done with the help of NADPH. NADPH will add these hydrogen molecules here, and they will simply move away. Utilizing some of the energy and this hydrogen, this two molecules of this phosphoglycerate, they get converted into two molecules of triose phosphate. Okay, and you will be surprised that this triose phosphate, it is also a 3 carbon containing compound. Why it is 3 carbon containing compound? Very simple, because this particular step has added only hydrogen here, no carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is added before that, right? That is how, with the help of this carbon dioxide and these 5 carbon atoms, this 3 phosphoglycerate molecule it is produced. This, after accepting some of the hydrogen, it is getting converted to triose phosphate because it contains 3 carbon compound. That's why here also there is the presence of 3 carbon compounds, but there will be 2 molecules. Now these triphosphate molecules, they will be used for the production of glucose and later on to the production of the starch. Now here lies the crux. From this triphosphate, some of the molecules of the triose phosphate, they will be used for the production or regeneration of ribulose bisphosphate. In that, some of the energy will be used. Okay, but the question is, if triose phosphate molecules they are used for the production of glucose, how can from this triose phosphate RUBP also at the same time can be regenerated? How is that possible? Let me tell you it again. We'll try to understand this particular thing with the help of some mathematical calculations. Okay. Okay. You might have heard something that for the production of one glucose molecule, one glucose which is for the production of one glucose molecule, there is the requirement of 6 Kelvin cycles. This is a formula which actually gives us a great idea or the clear cut idea how it is actually done. Now, please try to focus. One RUBP molecule, ribulose bisphosphate, correct? It is used, and from this one RUBP, one ribulose bisphosphate molecule, how many triose phosphate molecules they are produced? Two triose phosphate molecules are produced, correct? In this particular RUBP, how many carbons are there? It is a 5 carbon containing compound. Triose phosphate, it is a 3 carbon containing compound. Okay. Now let's think for a second. In one cycle, in 1 Kelvin cycle, one RUBP will be used, correct? That is how 5 carbon will be there. 2 triose phosphate molecules are there. 3 carbon containing compound. How many carbons will be here? If one RUBP will be used, then 5 carbon will be used. But from these 5 carbon containing compound, you are able to produce 2 molecules of triose phosphate. One molecule of triose phosphate, it contains 3 carbon. Then 2 molecules of triose phosphate will contain 6 carbon. Correct? Now, this is when one cycle it is done. 1 Kelvin cycle. Okay. Now, for the production of one glucose molecule, you will require 6 Kelvin cycles. 1 Kelvin cycle will be produce these many. Then 6 Kelvin cycles will be able to produce. In case of RUBP, how many RUBP molecules will be used? 6 RUBP molecules will be used. In 1 Kelvin cycle, 1 RUBP molecule is used. That is how in 6 different Kelvin cycles, 6 molecules of the RUBP will be involved. Correct? So, when 6 molecules of RUBP are there, in that case, 6 multiplied by 5, that is equal to 30 carbon will be used. So far as your RUBP is concerned, correct? But from one RUBP, if 2 triose phosphate molecules are produced, then from 6 RUBP molecules, how many triose phosphate molecules will be produced? 12 triose phosphate molecules will be produced, correct? Now, from these 12 triose phosphate molecules, everyone is 3 carbon containing compound, correct? How many carbons will be there? 36 carbons will be there. Okay. Now think for a second. When we say that triose phosphate molecules, they are used for the production of glucose, and at the same time they are used for the regeneration of ribulose bisphosphate, or maybe you can call it as RUBP. Okay. How can both these used? For the very simple reason. 6 Kelvin cycle, they are used for the production of one glucose molecule, correct? How many carbons are there in one glucose molecule? In one glucose molecule, 6 carbon will be there, correct? How many molecules we have of this carbon? 36. Out of these 36, if 6 carbon molecules will be used, 6 carbon will be used for production of glucose, then how many will be remaining? Remaining will be 30 carbon. These 30 carbons can be used for the production or regeneration of RUBP. Okay, getting my point? That is how in 1 Kelvin cycle, In 1 Kelvin cycle, if one carbon atom is fixed, that means in 6 Kelvin cycles, six different carbons they are fixed. Correct? That is how in 6 Kelvin cycle, one glucose it is produced, and remaining 30 carbon they can be used for regeneration of RUBB. Understanding this? This is the most crucial part so far as Kelvin cycle it is concerned. Okay? 6 carbon they'll be used for the production of glucose. Remaining 30 carbon will be used for the regeneration of RUBP. Okay? Thank you very much.